Oh, hello. Happy 2024. It's the first video I've done this year. At last it's sunny. It stopped raining. Weather was terrible. Well, the last couple of months really, especially over Christmas. It was quite depressing. I've just finished cutting up a load of firewood. Hopefully that's going to last us a week or so. And it's pretty cold now, so I'm going to disappear into the shed and have a brew. Well deserved, I think. Normally, I'd use one of these gas canister stoves. You've seen plenty of these around. You can pick them up anywhere. And these canisters are quite cheap, but they don't like the cold weather, so they're not very good in the winter. So I only really use these in the spring and the summer and early autumn. In the winter, I use one of these, a Trangia stove. It's a alcohol or meths stove, and for Christmas I got one of these. It's a folding version of it. So I'll open that up, show you how it works, but first I'm going to get the fire on. Well, that's the fire going. Hopefully it'll warm up in here. It's only 4 degrees at the moment. So how do these things work? Well, there's your little Trangia. There's the fuel, methylated spirits. Some posh people use biofuel, but I think it's just way too pricey. You don't need a lot in here. It doesn't matter how much you put in, the result's still the same. So here, there's your fuel. You light it, and then it gasifies. And these little holes here, they will ignite as well, and it'll turn off. It'll look a bit like your gas stove. You'll see it's quite familiar. Now, the problem I've got with this one is there's no stand, there's nowhere for you to put your pot on. So what I'm using here, this is a twig stove that I've had for years. By the way, I've had this thing for about 15 years. And that's the other thing I like about these. They're so reliable, there's no moving parts, there's nothing to go wrong really. So we'll put it in there, which I'm using as a pot stand. And then okay, that's lit, and we'll wait for it to start gasifying. So just leave the screw top there. That's a simmer pot thing. It's adjustable. You can open it up to get more or less of a gap. I only use it really to extinguish it. And the kettle, this is a fast boil kettle. It's got like lots of little ribs underneath. It's supposed to help it boil quicker. So I want to compare how quickly that boils the water compared to the new one I got, because I'm sure it's a lot quicker. So it's got no problem lighting in the winter, unlike the gas. And as soon as it starts gasifying, we'll put the kettle on. To keep things fair, I've only put 1 cup of water in there, and then I'll do the same for the other stove. We now got the gasifying going, and it looks a bit like your gas hob. So we're going to start the timer, and we're going to put the kettle on. We'll see how long that takes to boil, eh? Back in a minute. Right, so the kettle's boiling, and that took 3 minutes and 35 seconds, I'm going to say. Let's just put it out. Right, so 3 minutes 35, that's not too bad, is it? You know, got all the time in the world, just chill out while it's doing. We've got the meths in the new burner, and we'll just like that. And we'll wait till that starts gasifying, and then we'll time that one going. So that's now nicely gasifying, and as you can see, it's a lot bigger, the flame coverage. So we'll do the same again. I've got cold water in here, everything's cooled down. We'll just start the timer, and we'll see how long it takes to boil up 1 cup of water. Back in a minute. Well, there she blows. It's boiling, and it's 2 minutes 21 seconds as far as I can see. So that was much quicker. Right, so let's turn it off. Do like the way the flame looks lovely, doesn't it? Right. And there you go. It's all extinguished. Time for the brew, I think. But that was pretty cool, wasn't it? Alcohol stoves, great to mess about with. Got to be careful with them though. It can be dangerous if you're not careful. So, two different stoves using the same technology. Here's the older technology, and here's a new design version of it. As I've said, I've had this one a very, very long time. Took it fishing with me in the past, and Mrs. Summerhouse has brewed up a nice brew for us, or we've cooked something using it at the side of the canal or riverbank or whatever, wherever we are. Problem with this is there's no stand with it. You can buy the stands, but they're quite expensive really for what they are, and for like the half the price of what Mrs. Summerhouse paid for this for me. So that's why I decided to go for this one. It's got the pot stands, it's got a bigger flame, bigger footprints, and as you've seen from the little test we did, it brews up quicker, it boils the water quicker. Which one do I prefer out of the two? I prefer this one. It's safer with the stand and that. As you can see, I had to put this in the little twig stove and use that as a pot stand, and you've got to be careful how you put the kettle on or it can tip over. But yeah, this is my favourite out of the two. I love them both though. I will continue to use that one. Thing that some people mention with this one is you can put the fuel in it, leave it and put the screw top back on and put it in your pocket. I've never ever done that because I've got this fear of it actually leaking in the pocket, even though it's got a screw top on it. You never know, and I don't want to be walking around stinking of meths. People might think I'm an old tramp or something. But anyway, this one here, you can't store the fuel in that and carry it around. But I'm not going to use it like that. I'm just going to use it in the shed to make a brew when I've been working outside. As I've mentioned, gas is no good at this time of year. Butane, it does not like the cold. You'd have to use propane, and I'm not messing around with that. And I quite like looking at the flame on these things. So, yeah, you can pick these up. I think they're about the same price. You can get them for about a tenner and this for about a tenner. Personally, I like this one. I would use this one. And I've got no problem carrying that around with me. Obviously, you can't leave the fuel in it. But, Old Faithful, I'll still use it now and again. Yeah, so good fun, and it does make a nice brew, you know.